Letitia James has been claiming that her townhouse is a 4-unit dwelling when, in fact, it contains 5 units. Why would she do that? Simple: to secure lower mortgage rates. Here's why that matters. Properties with 1 to 4 units fall under residential underwriting and insurance guidelines. But the moment property is 5 or more units, it's categorized as a commercial property, which comes with stricter rules and more expensive insurance. So, why would a top New York official misrepresent the size of her property? Because the difference between residential and commercial classification isn't minor, it's huge. Letitia James knows this better than anyone. This is the same woman who paints herself as the people's protector. The same woman who claims to be a watchdog against corruption, white-collar crime, and corporate greed. Yet behind that public image, she may have engaged in conduct that would land any average citizen in serious legal trouble. Tonight, we're diving deeper into what appears to be a textbook case of mortgage deception and insurance fraud, centered on her personal real estate, and why the media seems oddly quiet about it. Joining us is Sam Anter, a forensic accountant with quite the background. Sam is the man who uncovered all of this information about Letitia James. He's our source tonight. Host Sam, thank you for joining us. Sam, thanks for having me on. Host, you're a New Yorker, living just down the street from her, and you've done some great work here. Let's start with some of the key facts. Specifically, the property in Virginia she claimed as her primary residence while serving as New York's Attorney General. We're talking about Northern Virginia, a good 5 to 6 hour drive from New York. According to your report, James signed a specific power of attorney stating that she intended to make 604 Sterling Street in Norfolk, Virginia, her primary residence. That a legally binding statement. And under New York's Public Officers Law Section 30, this could have automatically vacated her position as Attorney General. Even more suspicious, that declaration was made just 45 days before she launched her civil fraud case against Donald Trump. Sam, that's right. In 2023, she purchased a property in Virginia with a relative. She filed the power of attorney documents with the county clerk's office, giving her cousin or possibly niece the authority to close on the mortgage. In those documents, James stated that she intended to make the Virginia home her primary residence. Host, so let's break this down. She owns a townhouse in New York. It's been presented as a 4-unit building. Sounds normal. But the reality is, it's a 5-unit property. Now, to most people, that might seem like a small detail. But in real estate, that one extra unit makes a world of difference. Properties with 5 or more units are classified as commercial, and that changes everything. Mortgage rates, underwriting processes, insurance requirements. Residential loans for 1 to 4 unit buildings come with lower interest rates, easier approval, and more favorable terms. Commercial loans are much tougher, stricter scrutiny, higher down payments, less favorable terms, and more expensive insurance. So what happens when someone lies about the number of units to qualify for better terms? That's called fraud, specifically mortgage fraud, where the borrower misrepresents key details to the lender, and insurance fraud, which includes lying about the structure to pay lower premiums. Let's be clear, this isn't a gray area. It's a crime. Letitia James, the top legal authority in the state, allegedly broke the very laws she's sworn to uphold. There are 2 major issues here. First, she lied on the power of attorney. Does anyone really believe she was going to move to Virginia during the Trump trial? Second, Section 6 of the mortgage documents clearly states that both borrowers, James and her relative, must occupy the property as their primary residence within 60 days. Not just one of them. Both. Sam right. And her motive? Lower interest rates. She lied to get a better deal. Host, that makes her, what, a petty thief? Sam, that's exactly what I call her. Host, when you compare this to what she accused Trump of, is her behavior better, worse, or the same? Sam, look, I'm a real felon. Trump is not. In my view, he didn't commit a crime. Host, the jury clearly thought otherwise. Sam, sure. But did you listen to the appellate arguments? The judges seem inclined to vacate the entire case. Host, yeah. We were all shocked by the charges, and especially the size of the penalty. But let's move on. Let's talk about her Brooklyn townhouse. That's her actual residence, the one she walked out of this morning. It's also a multifamily home. Now, think about this. Trump is currently appealing his conviction, which with interest now totals over $500 million. Could this revelation about Letitia James impact his appeal? Maybe. I don't know yet, but I plan to dig into that in another video. I'd like to talk to a lawyer to understand what this means for not just Trump's case, but any case she's prosecuted while allegedly committing similar fraud behind the scenes. If she prosecuted people for the same thing she's now being accused of, there's something deeply wrong with that picture. Let's just pause for a moment. This isn't someone fudging a number on a rental listing. This is a high-ranking law enforcement official sidestepping regulations that millions of regular Americans have to follow. And if the average citizen pulled something like this, they'd be fined, investigated, or prosecuted. But when it's someone in power, silence. Let's not pretend this was a simple mistake. Letitia James is not new to property law. She's not some naive first-timer who missed a fine print. She's an experienced attorney, an elected official, someone who's led investigations into others for this exact thing. This wasn't ignorance. It was calculated. If she had listed her building correctly as 5 units, she would have faced higher insurance premiums, tougher mortgage terms, and a bigger down payment. That's the whole point. The rules are different for residential and commercial properties in every category: loans, insurance, taxes, and more. These tougher underwriting conditions, they're not a joke. She would have had to make a larger down payment. She'd face higher requirements. The property would likely be valued lower under commercial classification. In short, she would have had to follow the same rules every other New Yorker does. And apparently, that was just too much for someone who enforces those very rules for a living. And here's the kicker. James has been claiming her townhouse is a 4-unit dwelling, when it actually has 5 units. Why? Because properties with up to 4 units fall under easier underwriting guidelines and cheaper insurance rates. That's insurance fraud, plain and simple. If a property is 5 or more units, it's considered commercial real estate. That brings a whole different set of legal and financial obligations. So, misrepresenting a 5-unit building as having only 4 isn't just a clerical error. It's a deliberate move to dodge the rules. The Department of Buildings got complaints about this, but they brushed it off like it was no big deal. Meanwhile, landlords all across New York get fined and forced to tear down illegal conversions for doing the exact same thing. But Letitia James? She lies on legal documents. And she hasn't denied it, not even once. Back in 1983, she and her father took out a $30,000 loan together. But when they filed the paperwork, they listed themselves as husband and wife. Seriously, she claimed she was married to her dad. Why would anyone do that? To secure better mortgage terms. This wasn't even my discovery. It was Joel Gilbert who uncovered that one. She originally bought the property as father and daughter, but by the time the mortgage paperwork was filed, it magically became husband and wife. And it gets worse. Let's talk about the taxes. She's collecting rent from 5 units, but reports only 4. How is that income being taxed? She might be underreporting rental income and avoiding the higher property taxes that come with commercial properties. That's textbook tax fraud. And don't assume this is just a state issue. This falls under federal jurisdiction, too. The DOJ can investigate these kinds of crimes. These are federal offenses. So even if New York refuses to prosecute one of their own, the feds can and should step in. Letitia James has been skimming thousands off her mortgage, insurance, and taxes illegally, and she knows the law. She's not some naive first-time buyer. She's the Attorney General. This isn't just some small mistake. It's a calculated scam. She saves money on interest. She pays lower insurance premiums, 20 to 40% less, easily, and she skirts compliance rules that honest landlords are forced to obey. This isn't just about money. It's about privilege and abuse of power. Oh, and here's another bombshell. Between 2021 and 2022, she spent $42,000 in taxpayer funds to fly private to places like Martha's Vineyard and Puerto Rico on luxury jets, while claiming these were official trips. No other New York government agency uses private jet services like Venture Jets, the company she used. But once people started asking questions, she quietly had her campaign pick up the bill for those flights. Let's think about that. She pays for these jets after getting called out. And if you align those jet payments with her campaign events, a lot of them match up. So here's the question. Did taxpayers just bankroll her campaign travel? And this isn't her only property. That husband and wife mortgage scam happened at a different house, likely in Queens. It dates back decades, but that doesn't make it any less serious. Fraud is fraud. This woman has a long record of doing exactly what she prosecutes others for. It's the height of hypocrisy. Let's wrap this with something personal. I asked Sam Anner, the guy who uncovered all of this, how he became so good at spotting fraud. His answer? Because I was a criminal for 20 years, he said. A very good one. The FBI showed me how to fix myself. They beat lessons into me, figuratively. They made me better. Now he uses that criminal mind for good, tracking down liars and cheats like Letitia James. He added, I love puzzles. I love numbers. This is my passion. And that passion exposed a massive scandal. This isn't just unethical. It's theft from the people of New York. And remember who we're talking about, the Attorney General. The one person in the state whose job is to uphold the law. Instead, she's breaking it. So who holds her accountable? If she walks away untouched, what message does that send to honest landlords? To working families struggling to pay rising insurance premiums? To people who follow the rules? It says there are two justice systems, one for the elite and one for the rest of us. We have to shine a light on this, because you know the media won't. New York politics won't. And tomorrow's headlines will try to bury this like it never happened. But not if we keep pushing. Not if we demand answers. Not if we make noise. We can't let another corrupt politician slide by just because of their title. We're tired of the lies, the hoaxes, the selective prosecution. Tired of watching the enforcers become the criminals. This story matters. So make sure you subscribe, hit that notification bell, and stay tuned. I'll be talking to legal experts and breaking down even more of this story in the next episode. Because corruption this bold deserves to be exposed.